We know that emotions live in the body and they show up as sensations. And our work, the trauma work, the recovery work, isn't about getting rid of those emotions, but to integrate them. And once we learn to stay with our emotions, learn to recognize them, name them, nurture them, we naturally move into the next stage of healing, which is developing emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is a way of relating to yourself, to your body, to your history, even to others. It's the moment when your relationship with your inner world starts, rippling outwards and into the outer world. So let's define emotional intelligence, and I want to do it in the simplest, most human way possible. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, name, and respond to emotions in yourself and others with presence instead of panic. It's seeing a feeling rise and knowing it has information and meaning in it, but meeting it without abandoning yourself. It's slowing down enough to say, oh, this is sadness, or oh, this is fear, not rejection, or I'm overwhelmed, not because I'm failing, but because my system right now, it needs support. It's witnessing without a reaction. Through emotional intelligence, we learn that there is no wrong emotion. There's only information. And the body gives us that information long before the mind even begins to understand it. And sometimes that information, it whispers. And other times it might shout. And sometimes it might shut you down altogether. But what we do know is that our emotions are always speaking to us. And emotional intelligence is the art of staying in that conversation. Because when you learn to regulate your own emotions, you learn to calm your system, to soften your breath, to be able to just name what's happening. And something beautiful actually begins to happen. You start relating differently. You speak differently. You listen differently. And you become somebody who can stay present, not only with your emotions, but with other people's emotions too. And that's the foundation of secure attachment. Because emotional intelligence, it's relational. It's not reactional. And it's definitely not rational. And it's not just, what am I feeling? Right? It's actually deeper than that. It actually becomes, what does my body need so I don't have to repeat these old patterns here? How can I stay open without abandoning myself? I want to share a story that always stayed with me, because somebody once asked me, it says, I don't trust calm, because calm means the storm is coming. And I feel that way too sometimes. I still do. So when she said that, I was just like, yeah, you know what? I understood it. I understood it right there in that moment, because many of us, calm wasn't a sanctuary. It was actually that calm moment before chaos erupted. And what may have happened is maybe you grew up in a home where everything felt fine until it wasn't, where silence, there was tension in it, where smiles hid danger, where calm just didn't feel real. And everything, whenever the calm would appear, it felt like a setup for something. So emotional intelligence for many of us includes learning to trust calm again. And at first, that's not easy. It's hard at first to trust peace. It feels safe in stillness. To believe that it's safe to settle, safe to soften, safe to be in quiet inside, it takes work. And what we're going to realize is that recovery from trauma is not easy work here. And it begins with asking just one simple question. What does calm feel like in my body without the old story attached to it? And just let that question live with you for a moment. Because when you allow your nervous system to separate calm from danger, your entire emotional world begins to change. Calm becomes connection, connection becomes safety, and safety becomes trust. And then trust becomes the ground where emotional intelligence just blooms, it flourishes. This is where you can have emotions. They come, they are seen, they're held, and then they go as well. I want to make this real and practical. So I'm going to share a few prompts, that can help you see that your emotional patterns with a little bit more clarity and not with judgment. So start with this question. 1, what emotion are you most fluent in? And what I mean by that, what emotion does your body know the best? Which are the ones that you're most familiar with? And for some people, it's anxiety. For some, it's anger. For some, it's like loneliness or sadness. For some, it's caretaking someone so deeply that you don't have your own emotions at all. Think about what yours is. Think about that for a moment and just notice what comes up. Because this is how we start creating a map. And the next question, number 2, ask yourself this question. Which emotion do you mistrust? And for me and many others, it's actually joy. Because when joy comes, it was taken away, or it wasn't allowed, or it didn't feel safe, or, it was something that stirred jealousy in other people around you who struggled with experiencing joy. And for others, it's grief. Nobody wants to feel grief. So there are all sorts of ways that we can create to avoid feeling grief. It could also be anger. And that actually makes sense if we think about it. Because maybe you had a childhood where everyone else was allowed to be angry, but you weren't. And if you were angry, you got punished. So no wonder when anger arises, you may instinctively repress it. Or what if for you it's vulnerability? And that makes sense because sharing something that could, hurt you later, that becomes very, very difficult. So take a moment to think about this question. Which emotions feel the most dangerous to you, and which ones are you afraid to feel? Because this is more map building that we're doing. Knowing your internal terrain, it actually becomes so important. And knowing this is where your healing actually lives. The third question to ask yourself, what emotions in others shuts me down? Does someone else's sadness overwhelm you? Does that make you shut down? Does someone else's anger just terrify you? Does it feel really uncomfortable? It could be even scary to be around angry people. And does someone else's anxiety make you feel responsible? And, it's just like anything that kind of comes up. I need to fix this right now. Right? Somebody's anxious. That makes sense. That's what a caretaker does. We learn about ourselves in these states, and here's why. Because other people's emotions, you know what they do in us? They actually activate old blueprints. And when you observe your reactions to somebody else's emotions, what you're actually seeing is an attachment pattern directly, right in front of you. And you know what? We're actually learning about ourselves. And then number 4, can you practice curiosity instead of judgment? Curiosity is the nervous system's bridge to regulation. Self-judgment does the exact opposite. So if you ask, what is this emotion really about? It's different. What is this person actually needing right now? What is my body remembering? How am I getting triggered right now? And what you realize is you're shifting from an emotional reaction to an emotional relationship. And you're creating a dialogue with your emotions instead of becoming the emotion or the reaction that we have to avoid these emotions. That's emotional intelligence. And it doesn't mean calmness at all times. No. And it also doesn't mean being above it all. It just means being with your reactions and others who are also having emotions, but doing it with more presence. And I do hope this video was helpful. I want you to remember one thing. Emotional intelligence isn't about controlling emotions, and just let that sink in. And it's not about digging holes to bury them in deeper and deeper. And it's not about reactionary emotions to avoid feelings of that original trigger. It's not about that either. It's about staying connected to yourself while emotions are present. And it's a gentle art of noticing, naming, and then nurturing yourself. Not once. I wish it was once, but no, it means doing it over and over again, because that's how we turn emotional waves into wisdom. And keep in mind, emotional intelligence is a practice, it's not a perfect. And the more that you practice this, the safer your inner world becomes, and the safer that your relationships with others also become, and the safer that your future becomes. Because when you can stay present with whatever arises, you finally become free to choose instead of react. And this is the heart of secure attachment. This is the path of the wise mind. And this is where your healing becomes your leadership in your own life. And also, with the people that you love. So if you want to know more or go deeper into this work, into healing and recovery from trauma, you're free to watch other videos that I've posted. And you're also free to comment and attend one of my live sessions that I host regularly. And a link for those is in the descriptions. And if you're ready, you can also book a call and I'll guide you through the entire trauma recovery process. And I'd also ask that you do me a favor, because I've looked at the data from these videos and only 7% of the people who watch these videos are subscribed. So that means 93% of you are not subscribed. So I ask, if you do find this video helpful or any of my other videos helpful, please subscribe to this feed. It makes a big difference to get this content out to the people who need to hear it the most. So I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.